for social transformation. That is where we try to sit, that we contribute in the generation of knowledge so that our societies can become better, more inclusive, more equitable, and more democratic. That is really, really key to us. To do that, of course, we also do advocacy on those areas of work that are critical to us. So we do advocacy for artistic freedom, we do advocacy for freedom of expression, we do advocacy for media, freedom and so on, because we are an arts, culture, and media institution. So we work in those areas very, very deliberately for the sake of our people. In this particular case, we are contributing in the shifting of narratives about Africa, narratives that are detrimental to the continent and sometimes which have taken center stage globally, and yet they do not represent Africa as Africa should be represented. And therefore we are contributing in this shift of narratives by amplifying very, very specifically Africa's contribution to knowledge and cultures. It's sometimes very interesting that in the Western tradition, they try to suggest that culture is not important. And when you look at the ways in which economic development has taken place in the West, it's taken place on the basis of cultural thinking. So, philosophies of individualism driving their economic work. And yet that's actually a cultural positioning. It's a cultural positioning. Individualism is a cultural positioning from the global north. In our case, it's much more collectivizing and much more working towards community, and that should never be seen as weak. It's a legitimate narrative of the ways in which societies should be organized by being more inclusive, being more community-centered. Now, also to say that we have complete commitment to the Pan-African approach to transformation. We believe that the African people ought to work together collectively, despite our diversity. We take the diversity as a strength, not as a weakness, and that together we can actually contribute in changing the continent. So we take a Pan-African approach, and again, the journal that we're launching today does take that approach. We are shifting the narrative on restitution as part of continental responsibility, not a favor to Africa, but really as a responsibility by those of us who are able to question perspectives from the north. So it's a continental responsibility, and that's why we take the Pan-African approach. Finally, just to share that this journal was preceded by two critical convenings for knowledge sharing by the writers last year in November. The writers actually met online. We have writers from North Africa, South Africa, Francophone, Lusophone, and so on. And we met online and discussed some of the issues that you find in the journal. Those two knowledge sharing forums were very important because we learned things that we didn't know before about the pillage of African artifacts, as well as the ways in which communities are demanding that what belongs to them should be brought back. So before I ask our partner Natasha Kimani to step up, I'm reminded that we do have a hashtag for the event today. The hashtag is, we have two hashtags, Jahazi Lounge 2022. That is the hashtag for the lounge, Jahazi Lounge 2022. And I think that there is a second hashtag, restitution. So we have Jahazi Lounge 2022 and hashtag restitution, and I think that these are going to be the dominant hashtags, and I think that we can be very active online again to say that this conversation is also taking place through the Twaweza online channel. I want to now ask Natasha.